Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another DCi interview. So today I have Andrea Ferro. Andrea, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you very much. Pleasure to be
Fantastic.
here.
Great to hear. Great to have you here as well. Real quick, if it's been nice for you to just introduce yourself to our viewers.
Sure. My name is Andrea Ferro. I've been with Vertiv now for nearly 20 years, leading the EMEA Power and ITS business unit.
Fantastic. We actually met previously back in Vertiv Week 2025. There were some issues back then, but we're back again having a nice another interview. So I think we're just going straight into it if you'd like.
That's great.
Fantastic. So first question for you. So AI has become a defining driver in the data center world this year specifically as well. Based on what you see across EMEA, particularly in discussions highlighted during Vertiv Week 2025, how is the surge in AI workloads influencing the types of infrastructure investments and developments customers are prioritizing on?
Yeah, clearly we are seeing a lot of different technology challenges as we are looking into this new AI workload. I'm sure the audience is familiar with the fact that we are seeing unprecedented level of densification in terms of power and thermal requirement per rack, where we are starting to see already today rack densities in the range of 100 to 150 kilowatt, while in the past we were working in the tens of kilowatt at best. So that clearly poses a lot of new challenges from an engineering perspective. The ratio between what we define as white space and the gray space has completely changed, with the gray space that now, in terms of footprint of the solution, is actually increasing significantly. And we are working really to ensure that we are densifying everything which is related to the power and the thermal infrastructure. So a lot of changes from an architecture standpoint. The white space itself is being transformed. We are no longer looking at completely separate environment, but we are starting to look at this unit of compute, as you may have heard that being defined multiple times from NVIDIA, where the IT stack, the heat dissipation, the power, they all need to be working very closely together to ensure that then this full unit of compute is actually working and delivering up to expectation in terms of token being generated, in terms of efficiency of the solution, in terms of heat dissipation and so on. So a lot of transformation, I would say, from an engineering standpoint. Clearly, in terms of prioritization of investment, our focus is to ensure that we are always one generation ahead in terms of this compute architecture, making sure that the power and the thermal infrastructure, as well as all the racks and white space infrastructure, are able to cope with what's coming next. Because we know the planning cycle for our customer can be quite long, a couple of years, very often when we are looking at large infrastructure. So it's really important for us to make sure that we provide design guidelines to our customer, that they can ensure that they can design today for something that will actually be available in a couple of years in terms of IT hardware.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So I'll go straight into my second question. With rack densities and power requirements climbing rapidly due to AI and HPC applications and projections suggesting megawatt classes within the next 3 to 5 years, what do you see as the main design or operational challenges operators must overcome to prepare their facilities?
Yeah, so I would say we briefly mentioned that today we are starting to see this requirement up to 100, 150 kilowatt. That will not stop there. So we are already starting to see the next generation of NVIDIA compute architecture going up to 600 kilowatt. And then beyond that, in a couple of years, we will start to see also 1 megawatt per rack. So there is a huge shift that need to happen. If we focus specifically on how the power distribution is actually evolving, we are starting to see requirement when we look to the future generation of Rubin and beyond that in terms of high voltage DC. Today we are working for power shelf at 50 volt that are then supporting those compute racks with 150 kilowatt per rack. But then as this grows further, is no longer efficient to work at low voltage. So we need to start developing a high voltage DC type system. That's something that is a core strength in Vertiv, since we have a legacy of telco and DC power converter, where we also had experiences, especially in APAC, but also some other installation in the US and in EMEA for high voltage DC. Traditionally, it was in the 400 volt, and now we are starting to see this requirement working very closely with NVIDIA on the 800 voltage DC types of architecture. So that's for sure one big change that we will see in terms of how we are distributing the power to the rack. If we move farther upstream, then clearly there are other types of challenges that we are seeing. One being the power availability. We know that in many areas there is not necessarily enough power being available. And the other one is related instead to the characteristic of these AI loads, which are pulsing loads. They are not constant. So we have developed technology, and we are developing technologies to cope with these kind of challenges. When we look to the AI type loads, we can think about UPSs that can actually smooth the power requirement that we see from the computer architecture, working very closely with the energy storage system. That's why we are investing specifically to have our own control for the energy storage system, deeply integrated together with the UPS and the large converter design, to ensure that then we have the best type of operation, and that we don't have those type of pulse loads that are seen also upstream to the electrical infrastructure. When it comes to power availability, you may have seen that we have announced also partnership with the likes of Oklo or Caterpillar. So really developing this concept of bring your own power, where we are starting to see the opportunity to bring either gas turbines. In the longer future, we will see for sure also small modular reactor becoming an important play into this microgrid conversation, especially as we start to see also inquiries for gigawatt campuses, something never seen before. We are already seeing a number of those in the US, and starting to see also opportunities within the EMEA market for this type of very large site deployment. When it comes to the white space, I would say we definitely need to go into the concept of deploying at scale the architecture. That's why prefab architecture is becoming super important. We have discussed a lot during the Vertiv Week about Smart Run, how we can modularize, pre-design, prefab, pre-test, all these elements that then need to be deployed at scale on a site. And the best way to do it is really to productize, to make sure that you are designing and then manufacturing those type of prefab elements off-site, which allows them to take off a lot of the site activities that normally would take place for the startup, the site testing. And moving that offsite also enable to ensure a much superior level of quality, and reducing dramatically then the amount of labor and the amount of time that is necessary to be spent on site.
Considering the rising energy demand driven by AI, how can the industry effectively balance performance requirements with sustainable targets from both a technological and operational perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there is clearly a surge demand for AI, but not only. I mean, there was already a growing trend in terms of data-driven application, right? So it's really, really key that our industry start to adopt more of the technology that are also already available from a lot of the players. If we think specifically to the energy consumption element, there are technologies that we have already deployed a couple of years back, thinking about frequency balancing, ancillary services. So there is the opportunity to work with the grid operators to make sure that the asset that we actually deploy are playing in terms of smoothing the demand that we are seeing from data center, but also contributing to stabilize the grid. That's something that we have already also deployed. We have a public case study that was done with Conapto in the Nordics, successfully installed a couple of years back. There are a lot of the Nordics country quite ahead in this type of regulation, UK as well, Ireland. So we really expect to see more and more of this type of opportunities across EMEA. The technology is there. So there is an opportunity actually to better leverage UPS and energy storage for this type of application to really help the grid being stabilized. And this is actually very important also as we see more and more renewable penetrating the grid. They are inherently less stable as a source of power generation. Therefore, this type of application really presents an opportunity combined into the data center type of installation to help the grid operators. If we think to the thermal environment, clearly there are opportunities there for heat recovery. Even there, the technology is available. We are seeing some requirement again from the Nordics being quite ahead in terms of making then that heat available also for either district heating, or it could be greenhouse, it could be for other types of application. I think one key element that really need to shift in terms of paradigm is how we are going to look at the integrated planning from a municipality, from a public application industry, combined with what the data center industry and technology can actually offer. And then you can really leverage at best those type of technology. The technology is there now. Is really a matter of embracing it. And for sure, there is an element then in terms of monitoring and utilization of this asset that should not be underestimated. That's why we invested big time also on our Vertiv Unify software offering, which really enable to monitor and to control the entire data center infrastructure on both power, thermal, and white space, as well as starting to look also in predictive ways of embedding AI and providing information then to the operators for what concern the life cycle maintenance of the facility itself.
Fantastic. And for the final question, reflecting on the insights shared during Vertiv Week 2025 on the future of AI factories, what excites you the most where it comes to where the market is heading and how Vertiv is positioning itself to lead the next wave of AI-driven data center transformations, particularly given the contribution and collaboration of the high-profile representatives such as NVIDIA, Microsoft, and Digital Realty?
The most exciting thing I can actually see is the speed at which the industry is transforming. We've been working in the industry for about 20 years, and if we think back for the last 10 years, I would say the architecture was fairly stable. Then we have seen this AI revolution. The heat density, as we have discussed before, is really surging 10 times, and it will go to 100 times very soon. So it's really requesting that we rethink completely the architecture of the overall data center. Clearly, we have a lot of experience to share with the entire industry, having worked with a lot of those colocation players like Digital Realty, Equinix, and many others for several years. And now we are seeing the transformation being led from NVIDIA, but also other silicon providers are actively working to develop their own GPU types architecture. Mm-hmm. So we are seeing a lot of different types of IT stack architecture. We are going to see also different types of application. There's been a lot of focus on the training. Now we are starting to see also the requirement for inferencing. So different types also of large off-site type solution versus more on-prem type AI solution being requested. And clearly the hyperscaler as well playing a huge part there, either in those very large training facility with these large language models developed from the likes of Google or all these different new players such as OpenAI and Anthropic. So the industry is deeply transforming, and that's present for us a big challenge in terms of innovation, in terms of accelerating our roadmap, but equally present also a fantastic opportunity, as we discussed earlier, to develop new technology, more sustainable, and that can really transform the entire digital ecosystem. So that's super exciting to be in it right now, and leading also together with some of those super important partnerships, such as the one with NVIDIA and many other players in the industry.
I agree. It's a very exciting time indeed for Vertiv as well as for every other player in the game. Thank you very much again, Andrea, for the conversation today, and hope to speak to you soon.
Thank you.